About 60 members of the Air National Guard's 130th Airlift Wing deployed to Afghanistan in the past week. The first of these two deployments was Saturday at Charleston's Yeager Airport. We've covered these deployments before, and we've reported on the missions the Air Guard undertakes. Now, we're going to see how these missions are carried out through Anna Sale, who's with the 130th in Afghanistan. Anna's journey began on Thursday before deployment. She arrives at the base with her luggage in tow to go through the processing center. This is where Guard members come to be thoroughly checked out before deployment. There are papers to sign.
This is body armor and this is chemical gear?
Correct.
Okay. It's the chem gear I just signed for. It's my receipt.
She's given special sunglasses to wear.
These are sunglasses, and they have ballistic protection as well, so they're got a little bit more security in case you're near a blast. So they're helpful with all the sand around. Wear them.
Here, Guards men and women get their typhoid shots if they need them. They can make a will with a Guard attorney present. They can visit a chaplain and pick up inspirational books or rosaries. Anna and the other reporters making the trip are given a special briefing about threats while in flight. The trip will take them to Turkey before arriving in Afghanistan, and this Guard member goes over the risks of rocket-propelled grenades and surface-to-air missiles.
Small arms is really the most prevalent threat, because everybody has an AK-47 or some sort of rifle, so that's everywhere. But there are RPGs and there are surface-to-air missiles in country. Granted, the usage of those against fixed-wing aircraft is rather limited, but it's always a threat.
This is not the only briefing Anna has attended. The Guard fully prepared her for deployment.
We had a lot of trainings. Most of the trainings were they were all unclassified, of course, and they were the kinds of trainings that family members might get. For example, the counterterrorism training we got. We learned about how bases deal with terrorism alerts and what the different codes are, and how to, pick up on if you're being followed in a car, that sort of thing. Nothing that is classified, of course, but sort of the very basics of counterterrorism. We had a training about public health and what kind of medicines to take and what kind of immunizations to take. First aid training, how to do a tourniquet. Hopefully we won't be in charge of that, but it's good to know. We had training on the law of war, with basically what are the international laws that govern the military when they're in combat zones. And the most fun part of the training was, of course, the missions that we went on, the local missions. So we loaded up on a C-130, got to get on the plane, feel what it's like to fly, what it's like to fly at low levels. And we actually saw a test drop where they dropped a load that simulated a Humvee drop, a ton and a half. Flew out the back of the C-130 and floated down, parachuted in Mason County. So we will not be going on those types of missions in Afghanistan because of safety concerns, but we got a feel of what happens when they do those sorts of drops.
What do you expect to cover while you're there? What kind of stories do you expect to cover?
I'm most interested in the personal stories, the details that we haven't heard. There's an Iraqi veteran who's writing a lot about his experience in the war, Paul Rykoff, and he talks about how we hear about a lot about the war, and we talk about it as if it's an issue, but we're not talking about it as if it's an experience. So it's those types of stories I want to tell. These are West Virginians. These are folks who are serving. What is it like when they are deployed? We've seen so many stories of families hugging servicemen and women as they're leaving, but we haven't followed them on their deployment. So just the very basic details of what it's like.
Finally, it's deployment day, Saturday, June 2nd. Governor Manchin makes the rounds at the base, visiting with Guardsmen and having pictures taken with the families. Anna's mother, father, and fiancé are among them. With one little wave, Anna heads toward the giant C-130 and boards the plane. There are some tears, some nervous smiles, as the families wait for the plane to take off. It finally does, and fades away into the bright blue sky toward the war zone in Afghanistan.